Hey, leaders and go-getters. If you're here, you're all about growth, pushing boundaries, stepping up, and making an impact. But when it comes to your career, are you leading the game or just playing along? Whether you're chasing a promotion, switching careers, or just want to stand out, it all starts with one thing: your executive summary. And guess what? We've got the Ultimate Executive Summary e-playbook, and it's 100% free. This step-by-step guide will take you from a blank page to a bold, standout executive summary that grabs attention and gets results. It's time to stop blending in and start owning your career story. Download your free copy now at leadthegame.org/free resources. And while you're there, check out 3 more powerful tools to help you take control of your career. Don't let your resume ride the bench. Get in the game. Head to leadthegame.org/free resources and grab your free e-playbook today. Now back to the show.
Welcome to What's on Your Bookshelf, a life and leadership podcast where we live out loud the pages of the books that are on our shelves, with your hosts, Denise Russo and Sam Powell.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our little video clip. My name is Denise Russo. I'm here with my friend and co-host, Sam Powell. We are from What's on Your Bookshelf. Sam, I'm so happy to be with you here today in this different kind of a format.
Yeah, I love this. This is super fun. And so if you follow along with us, right, you know that we're all about taking the books off of our shelves and reading through them piece by piece, talking about how we're implementing them in our lives, which is hoping helping you implement it in your life. So yeah, really excited. We are doing something a little bit different here. Like Denise said, we are taking a small pause between our books. Normally we go from one book straight to the next, but we decided to give you a rest from a listening perspective and to give you time to go get the book so you can follow along with us as we're reading it. And Denise, I had one of my friends text me the other day and was like, hey, I started listening to your podcast and I decided to buy the book and follow along. So I read and I caught up, and they're like, I'm loving doing this piece by piece with you because I'm getting a lot out of it. And it's really helping me like put this, into play. They're using the last book, the Unf Yourself, that we just completed. So I loved it. I was like, yes, somebody's doing exactly what we want you to do, and really how you get the most out of this. So super excited to, do this a little different and give people that opportunity, like my friend, to come join us on the journey.
I love hearing that. I think we take for granted that we've already read the book, likely even read it before we decided to record it. Then we read it together while we're recording it. And then we listen to our recordings, and then we talk about what we recorded. And so, subconsciously, we may know more about the book than the person that's joining us each Wednesday when the new episodes come out. So I'm also excited for this pause to catch people up so that they could go and grab a copy of the book. We'll make sure there's a link that we can share where you can easily find the book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever you decide that you want to buy books. But I'm really excited to announce what the next book is, because it really isn't what I think most leaders have on their bookshelves. And yet it's a book about knowledge and wisdom, which parlays very easily into the world of how you lead in life and in business, which is the whole point of What's on Your Bookshelf. So without further ado, the book that we are reading next is called The 4 Agreements. And this is by an author named Don Miguel Ruiz. It's a wisdom book of Toltec wisdom. And what was really interesting about this is that the headline of the book says it's a practical guide to personal freedom. And you and I, Sam, right before we decided to record this, we were talking about some of the challenges that our clients and just people we've been talking with lately are facing, which is not feeling that sense of personal freedom at work, which is bleeding into their personal lives outside of their working hours.
Yeah, absolutely. And this book, I think of all the books we've read, this one grabbed me from the beginning on a deeper level than all of the other ones. So I'm really excited to explore this. And I really do think that this one is good if you are reading it in reflection with us, because you're, like you said, it is different. It's not your typical like leadership book, but it's like deep wisdom. And I don't think I have a book that's more highlighted than this one, because it's like I like everything. I'm like, yes, these are the words I couldn't pull out of my feelings. These are the words I couldn't pull out of like the deepest parts of me in so many ways. And so I really think that, I don't know, if you want to lead your life, if you want to really be in control of how you show up in your own life and how you show up as you move forward, then you've got to get in touch with those deepest things, right? This ancient wisdom, this, collective, what are the things we've learned as human beings? And I think this book is just an interesting, digestible, tangible way to do that. And so I'm glad we're giving people this moment to go like find the book and and buy. And it's short. It's really thin. For those of you that are watching this, it's tiny, so easy to read, and definitely something that's, like I said, better if you're following along with us.
100%. So it's less than 140 pages long. The font is pretty big. The book is really small. I want to say it's an easy read, but it's not a simple read, because it's really about looking at your self-limiting beliefs and analyzing them and doing something different than you're doing today. And I think that one thing that I'd like to do from now till the end of the year is offer to anybody listening to this video and those who will listen to this book with us through the end of the year, complementary Agile Brain assessments. So Agile Brain looks at your emotions at a subconscious level, and Sam and I have access to these assessments for you. So if you're interested, with no catch, we'll give you the assessment complimentary. If you want to take deeper dives into your assessment, we could talk about that afterwards. But as a gift from us to all of you, especially those of you who have been listening along with us for the last couple of years, that's something that I think will also dovetail nicely with this book. So the way to get that assessment and for us to send it to you is just to send one of the two of us a message saying you want the free Agile Brain assessment. It's AGILE, and we'll send that to you as a gift from us to you. This book is written around this idea of this ancient wisdom that was garnered from these men and women in South Mexico that were scientists and artists. And what I so loved about learning about that in the very beginning of the book is you've got right brain and left brain people that were maximizing their way of thinking and their way of acting. And we talk about that a lot, don't we, Sam, about how the things that we think about become the things that we do in our lives and the things we prioritize as important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that this, like I said, really gets into that on just sort of a deeper level. And I think helps you think about showing up differently and right, like how to think differently to then do and act and be different, and in a lot of ways. And it's a simple framework. It's the 4 agreements. It's 4 things, right? That you do. And I read the other day that our attention span has changed. We used to be able to handle 7 things at a time, and now we can only handle 4, like collectively as human beings. We blame the internet and social media content and all that kind of stuff. Before, we can still handle 4. So you can do this with us, so we can all handle 4 things. But it's going to be I think it's going to be a really good journey. And it comes off of, it comes off of the year, right? This is our last book for the year that we're going to be looking at. And so it comes off of 5 bold choices at the beginning. The obstacle is the way after that. And then un-F yourself, following. And so then we are, I like our little bit of like flipping back and forth here throughout the year. Like the 5 bold choices was really about like modern, decisions and leadership, and the stories were all from like our modern age. And then we flip back to the obstacles the way, which is ancient Stoic wisdom, right? And really looking at obstacles through the lens of them becoming the path. And then we flip to something again really modern and really like in your face with un-F yourself. And now we're sort of flipping back to more collective ancient wisdom. And I I'm liking this vibe a lot. Like, I really am enjoying this. Like, okay, let's talk about today. Let's talk about, what we've like pulling in older wisdom that we've collectively gained over the years. And then let's talk again about right now. And then let's go back. And I don't know, it's really working for me as far as like just being able to implement this stuff into my life. Because I think if we were doing like all ancient wisdom and then all modern stuff, it just wouldn't have the same effect as far as like getting it off the shelf and into my life.
I think what I'm finding as well is it's easy to take the ancient stuff and figure out how to apply it to today because we have this contrast of learning about how
Yeah.
other authors and other leaders have done some of that application as well. And for those maybe who are newer to listening to our show, What's on Your Bookshelf, this is our third year.
Yeah.
Third year. Good gracious. Our third year of recording the show. And each of the years we set out, we have a meeting in the fourth quarter of the year to sort of talk about the theme that we want the entire next year to be about. And we didn't do that at first. At first, our first episodes, we'll tell you, they're a little bit clunky. I think they're not bad, but they're a little clunky because we took
good
the
stuff.
approach of it's good content, but it was like one book in one episode.
Yeah.
And I felt like we were being a commercial for the author and we weren't really getting the deep value. And it wasn't until we got into Coach Wooden by Pat Williams. And I'll never forget the most important thing I pulled from that one was that Pat Williams was taught by his dad the importance of drinking deeply from good books. And that became the entire premise of What's on Your Bookshelf, was that we no longer were going to just be advertisers for other authors, but that we wanted to be able to live out loud the pages of these books that have been sitting on our shelves. I said a story, I think early on, about my cousin. He was so proud of himself for going shopping at this book sale one time, and he was redecorating his apartment or his home. And he was like, hey, do you have this book? And do you have that book? I was like, oh yeah, I love this book. This is what it's about. He said, oh, no. It matched my decor. And so I've got the book on my shelf.
It looks pretty on the shelf. It's like those rainbow bookshelves people have where they do it by color. I love those.
Yeah, it's like that. And so it took me a long time early in my career to be willing to break the binder and to put highlighter notes and to bend pages. But now, I mean, my books, if they get donated, somebody is going to open them and think, wow, this person actually read this, did something about it. I have notes in the margins of all of my books. Some of the books I continually pull off of my shelf. And that really became, again, the reason for doing this. I'll never forget, Sam, we were having the conversation. It was with Andy Hughes and Scott Miller and you and myself. And Andy and Scott were from the early ons of What's on Your Bookshelf. Before it was even that, it used to be called Let's Be Real. And we were sitting together, and I recall I think it was Scott who just said, as we think about what we want to do, I was never in the spotlight of the show. I was the one in the back of the scenes, inviting authors, bringing people to the table that Andy was interviewing. And I remember Scott saying, well, as we transform this and create a new format for it, I really think that people just want to know what's on your bookshelf, because people would constantly come to me and say, hey, do you have a book for this topic? Or what book do you recommend for my team? Or what book can I use for some sort of leadership development for myself personally? And people were always asking me because they knew that I loved to read and I had a lot of books. And that's how What's on Your Bookshelf came to pass. And then one day, we talked to you about, hey, what would it be like for you to just jump in and help us out? Andy was having a baby and he's busy. His job was changing a little bit. And how was that for you coming into this? Because it wasn't planned for it to be the Sam and Denise show.
Well, it's like every other crazy adventure I've joined you on. You come at me with so much excitement and so many good ideas that it's like, okay, yeah, like why wouldn't I want to do that? And I mean, that's how you approached me with the John Wooden book. You're like, it's a sports book. I think we could do like 7 episodes because he has 7 principles. Like it would be really neat to do that. But then as we do, we got into talking and the 7 episodes became many, many episodes. I'm not actually sure how many it is, but it's more than 7. We ended up going really deep into it. And again, like we came across that principle of, drink deeply from good books. And it really became kind of the heart of what we were doing moving forward. And, I always say this, like we use this time as like personal development more than anybody else. And we just bring everyone along with us. And I love talking to people in my life who are listening to this podcast and who are, follow along with us, because they just have so many fun little mini stories to tell me, right? As they're doing it, they're like, oh, I heard you say this and now I'm doing this. Or, I loved this episode because of XYZ. Like I got a text from my friend's husband the other day. He was like, I was listening to your podcast and I just love it. I'm going to like keep listening. And I was like, all right, like we're bringing everybody in now. It's just so neat to I don't know, like grow on this journey with you. And I'm so glad that you did talk me into this in your Denise way that you do, which is all wonderfulness. And I'm glad that we bring other people along with us too, because it really is just about, I don't know, like working through kind of an idea through the year. Like last year was all happiness. This year is really all about, making, we're facing problems and issues, and like that it doesn't all work out perfectly, right? When you're pursuing happiness, what comes on the tail end of that is problems, right? Like we're facing real life. And so this year's all about exploring, how do you do that, right? How do you work through the things that are difficult, work through the things that are hard, work through the things that are standing in your way. And we started with choices. We went into obstacles becoming the way. We talked about uneffing ourselves and getting out of our head and into our life. And, and now we're talking about, the 4 agreements that we make that help us, move forward. And so I don't know. Your question was how has that been for me? It has become the whole journey and become something that is outside of just you and I sitting down recording this week over week. It's become something that's part of my life overall, right? In how I show up in my community and, people talking to me about it and how they're showing up and how I'm showing up with them. And, it's really become something bigger. And so thank you for convincing me to join 3 years ago, because this has been something that has shaped me in a way. And that's what I hope for other people, right? Is that this becomes, and as you get in this with us, it becomes something that shapes you into the next best version of you.
Yeah. I've read a lot of books in my day. And what I love about doing this show with you is there's just something different about reading a book with someone that you love and learning about what that person is taking away that you maybe were sort of thinking, but it's even a little different than you were thinking. And then you get an aha, like, oh, I missed that part. Now, what's funny is we'll often talk about a chapter and we both have the same parts highlighted in the book, which at least means the writer was a good writer in those areas. But what I'm hoping for our listeners as we round out the year with this book is that we can together go through this journey of the confluence between wisdom and knowledge, and that those two things are not the same, but complementary. And this book will be sort of like the tipping point of traction and then taking action. One of the things that we were talking about right before we decided to do this video today is that there's a lot of our colleagues, friends, clients, and people we've met that just aren't getting the results that they want, whether it's being in a job that they're dissatisfied in, or maybe they've lost their job this year and they're feeling worried because the job market is just tough, or maybe they are stuck trying to figure out how to grow up wherever they are, or maybe it's about people balancing the difficulties of how much time they invest in their job at the expense of the time that they invest with their family. And so these books for me have been a real way. We talk about it in the tagline of the show. It's how to live out loud the pages of the lessons that these authors poured their lives into writing these books, many of which are bestseller books that often people have said, yeah, I've heard about that book, or I read a book summary. I am not a fan of when you see all these posts coming out on Instagram or wherever that say you could read 100 books in a month or a year or whatever. That's not really reading. The book summary might give you the highlights, but that's like if you went to the movie theater and all you did at the movie theater was look at the previews. After you watch the movie, you can actually look at the preview of the movie and think, oh, that really was the whole movie. But when you watch the preview without watching the movie, then it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that's, so like we talk about the, like I read a lot. I read a lot of books just for entertainment purposes. Like I do read hundreds of books every year, but those hundreds of books are like the same thing as me like binging a Netflix series. Like instead of doing that, I'm reading in that regard. And so I live both lives of the like quantity of book and like there's tons of quality stuff in there. That I love that, right? It's the entertainment part of my life. It helps me expand my views in lots of different ways and other things too.
Yeah.
But this cadence of doing 4 books a year, doing them slow, doing them right, reading a little, doing a little, reading a little, doing a little, and implementing into my life, this is changing my life in fundamental ways. This is changing the trajectory of my life in fundamental ways that is different. And so like, yeah, I'm with you. Like this, you could do the 100 million summaries and like read all that kind of stuff. And that's great, right? It reminds me of like consuming a lot of good content on social media, but it's gone automatically, right? It's the things that you take a moment and then you go do something with that really fundamentally make a difference. And I think that that's where like in the world today, we're so just avalanched with quantity of content and information and ideas and all this kind of stuff. And it's great. And it makes you feel really smart that like I have learned all this stuff and I've read all this stuff.
Yeah.
But unless you put it into your life in some meaningful way, it's not actually doing anything for you. And so it's like, well, how do you slow it down a little bit? How do you do that? And that's really, I think, what we're doing here and what makes a big difference for me and, you know, in how we're showing up and how we're doing things.
Have you ever been to a restaurant and the meal is just so amazing that you just want to take your time with whatever it is you're eating and savor each of the bites? And it doesn't have to be that it's an expensive restaurant, but you know, it's just a place where the meal is just really good.
Yeah.
And then
I do that more with desserts than meals, but yes.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But you've also been to fast food drive-thrus. That's the difference, really, right? They both feed you. They both serve a purpose. The difference with our podcast is it's like savoring a really good meal.
Yep. Yeah.
So
that's exactly it, right? It's taking the time. It's taking the picture of it. It's telling a friend about it. It's like, it's creating an experience that becomes part of your life rather than, yeah, like I ate, check, move on, right? Like it was fine. It's like, no, I took the time to savor. And I think in that savoring is, like you said, which I love that, that's where magic happens. That's where big things happen. And I'm really excited to do that with this next book. Like super, super, like I said, I haven't had a book that hit me this deep in all the books that we've been reading. Other ones have been great in other regards. This one's like deep, like from the outset. And I was like, yes. Highlight. And I think that's, this one's going to be so good. And I just cannot wait to get started.
Me too. I think I'll close by just saying another thing I love about doing this together with you is that it extends beyond us. So it goes, of course, to those of you that listen in with us, but it goes to our personal lives and the people that we love as well. So my phone was just ringing. It was Vincent calling back to back. And, you know, I often talk about Olivia and Vincent on our show. And for months, neither one of them were willing to listen. One, because, you know, they're in their 20s, and 2, because they're my kids, and 3, they're thinking like, oh, my mom is doing a podcast. But one day I was going somewhere and they were captive in the car. And so I knew on that particular episode that I talked about both of them. And so I played it. And afterwards, I saw Vincent on the couch like a couple weeks later, and he had his headphones on. And I said, well, what are you doing? What are you listening to? And he likes to watch the podcast Diary of a CEO, which is a great podcast he introduced me to. But he said, Well, I'm listening to your podcast. I just wanted to make sure we weren't talking about me. Well, I probably was talking about you. But
Yeah.
anyways, the point is that I love that also the things that we're learning, these are books that are good for business, but they're great for life. And it extends beyond your own life, the way that this can impact others. And so I hope even for you listening today that you'll share with us what you're learning in these books with us. And this is just an interlude. We're coming to the book, but we wanted to take a pause, do something different, create a video so that you could see who we were face to face and what we're about and why we're doing this show and our heart for it, and to join us in the journey and to share it with others as well.
Yeah, I'm super excited to, like I said, get started. And, if you haven't followed along this year or any other year, like go back. The episodes are there, they're recorded. You can easily binge them if you're more of a binger than a, weekly cadence person. So go back and, start at the beginning of this year and then go back a year and learn how to be happy and, find the thing that you like and go through it with us. But, come on the journey because it'll change your life. And that's really all we want for you is, to have the biggest, most expansive life that you can.
And I want to do a special shout out to Andy and Scott, who were the originals for What's on Your Bookshelf. And an extra special thanks to Zach Elliott, who is our current producer, for all that he does behind the scenes. And he's got a really special edition series that we have with books that were written by military veterans on leadership lessons. And that series is a part of What's on Your Bookshelf as well. You'll see it in the list if you look on Apple Podcast or Spotify or YouTube or wherever you like to listen to shows. So Zach, thank you so much for all that you do with us week after week to edit and upload and produce this show for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And those episodes are great. I have listened to them and can't wait for more. So yeah, that's definitely go check those out if you haven't, especially if you've got any kind of like interest in the military or background in the military, like really, really good stuff. As somebody who grew up on a Navy base, like, yes, good stuff and definitely good to check out. But yeah, thanks. Thank you to the people who support us that you don't hear every week, right? And we love Zach and Scott and Andy, right? As the years have gone on, and anytime y'all want to pop in and have a chat with us and talk about a book, we're happy to let everyone else experience all the greatness that you have brought and bring.
Yeah, absolutely. And special shouts to Tom Schweizer and Dennis LaRue who join us on Zach's show. We're looking forward to this book. We're going to end for now since this was just an interlude episode for you. We hope you enjoyed the way of having this format as well. Sam, any last thoughts for people who might be listening to this?
Just come along on the journey with us. It will be well worth your time.
See you next week, friends, on another episode of What's on Your Bookshelf.